Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Leroy Carlton Show. And this is a special edition show. And this show is based on Vantage Financial Alliance. Now, as always, I always say every video, God is in the forefront of everything that we do. So let's start off with a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, may we understand that the way to breakthrough is following you. Guide me when I'm struggling to find my way, calm my spirit when feeling overwhelmed and sinking into a depressed state. Give me clarity that I'm on the right path, and even though I'm scared, let me not be fooled by trials and tribulations. May the test of faith only strengthen my belief in you, God. My New Year's resolution shall be met with action. And let me not be discouraged for not being where I want to be in life, because I am where I need to be in life. I know that in due time only means on God's time. Provide me with courage, knowing you are with me in battle. Let me rest with no worries and wake up with only gratitude. I have failed, been wrong, and at times given up, but I have also succeeded and tasted victory and fought through. These are the moments I must reflect on when I think I can't get through. As you prepare me for overwhelming blessings, I must take time to show gratitude for what has already been given. I am obedient to your word and know that you are not slow in keeping your promise. Protect me through this journey, Father. In Jesus' name, amen. We are in a war, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a war. And the people that are impacted the most are the families that's not being helped. So for the agents that are out there that are caught in the war, there's a lifeline. I have a great business partner, great friend, and you might as well just say family. Because he is one of those people that are throwing the lifeline out there. So you saw him on the first show. He was the first guest. I don't want to go into all his accolades, but what I will do is bring him on, and we're going to talk about, because he is one of the co-founders of this company, we're going to talk about Vantage Financial Alliance and how this is a big impact on the financial industrial, which is changing every day. We're no longer doing the old stuff. We are evolving, and you have to evolve with the way things are changing today. And we're going to talk about how this company can impact you. So I'm going to bring on my good friend and business partner, Jason Beauvais.
What's up, Lee?
What's good? What's good?
Hey, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Hey, you're talking about the war going on in that battle, man. You got me all fired up in the waiting room over here. I was like, man, you got to bring me in real quick. No, it's a pleasure to be on again, man. I really appreciate you and your wife, Tommy. I love what you're doing here with the show. And yeah, I think today we have some pretty good content. I'm very excited to share what's going on over here at Vantage and how everything's rock and rolling. So I'm excited, bro. Thanks for having me on today.
Hey, not a problem. And I see you wearing the Vantage shirt. I like that.
Got my Vantage shirt. Hey, got my little Buffalo Bills behind me still. We're still a little sour, but we're good to go, man. We're good to go.
All right. I'm going to throw some questions at you about this great company and why agents out there should look at this company if they don't have a place to call home or a place to plant their flag. Why should they look at this company? So here's my first question to you. Why is the financial/insurance industrial a great place to get licensed right now? And why should an agent that is already licensed want to come into this field?
Yeah, so Leroy, I think that's a great question. And I know me and you go way back, and man, it's crazy to think how far we've been in the industry. But after a decade of being around this, I think there's no better time right now to get into the financial industry, especially the insurance side of this industry. We talked, me and you, a lot about the financial climate. We still have 70% of the population that's not financially literate. So there's a big demand to get this information out to these families that we're serving. And quite frankly, with the modern technology, ever since 2020, how we're doing things, the virtual tied with the live meetings that we do, we're able to reach many places very fast. So if you're looking for a part-time career, which you can start this part-time, and you're looking to get into a field that's expanding, right? Every single day we talk about this, Leroy, the retirement need is at utmost importance. And then we have, obviously the generation with the 20, 30-year-olds that are trying to learn these different products that are out there. There's not enough of us licensed to actually solve this issue. So I think right now, with the flexibility, with having all the resources that we have now with technology, look what we're doing here. We're doing I'm in Arizona, you're over there in Virginia. We're doing live events that are now spread out all throughout the internet. So I just think right now, if you're looking to get a license, a professional field, and get a license that can help you, not only help yourself, but help other people, I think this is one of the greatest times just because of the economic climate right now, especially for the products and services we offer on the insurance side, which we'll talk about in a minute. This is something that people should be looking at to get themselves into.
So out of all the companies that are out there, Primerica, Family First, PHP, World Financial Group, GFI, why Vantage Financial?
All right, so we both know this, but let me make sure everyone understands. So I spent 10 years at World Financial Group, which, man, I loved it. You know that we were there together for a stint. I know you kind of moved on before me, but man, that was one of the best 10 years of my entire life. I came from working in the education sector and then moving over into entrepreneurship and getting into the financial services industry. And that's where my home was, man. I planted my flag, was going on 10 years, and it was awesome. But over the 10 years we were there, I used to always call you up, and there was always things that like, hey, does this make sense to you? Hey, well, what about this? And you've always been a good mentor. Your 30 years of military experience. I've always leaned on your professionalism and kind of some of the leadership stuff you have. And I think that's important, guys, in life. As you're moving, you find certain mentors. Doesn't always mean it's going to be in the arena that you're in. So long story short, after 10 years of being there, like the last year, there was a couple of things. I know we've talked quite a bit, things that I just wanted to upgrade or change. Maybe some things I think that are changing the industry. And unfortunately or fortunately, when you're a $1 billion company and things are working, you're going to stay in that path. So as I started to start looking around, I started making some phone calls. I have a lot of mentors in the industry. I've met a lot of people in a decade. And I just started to kind of poke around on what's out there and what's going on and people's visions of the future. And I reached out, and I know you know this gentleman. I reached out to one of my mentors, Jeff Levitan, and we both know he's been out of the game for a couple of years. He's doing other stuff, but he spent 30 years building these kind of models. And I was like, hey, can I get a little bit of guidance? And and he's onto so much other stuff, but I think it's important to have mentors in your life. So just reached out, had a good conversation, and I told him one thing, and we'll talk about this in a minute, Leroy. I said, hey, man, I got a couple ideas that I know you've done almost 30, 40 years in the industry. It might shock the waves a little bit. And it did a little bit when I brought up some of the ideas. But then throughout my tenure in the industry, I met a gentleman named John Benham, and he had a company called Vantage Financial Alliance, which was already set up. And here's what's very interesting. He's got 38 years experience in the industry. So he's been around since Primerica was formed, that went into WMA, that went into WFG, and a lot of these things spawned off from there, the PHPs, all these things, FFL, all these places. And he's got a lot of wisdom. But the reason I picked Vantage was once I sat down with him, you got to figure almost 38, 40 years in the industry. He was humble enough to listen to some up and coming agents that have been doing this for a long time. I shot up inside World Financial Group really fast, and he was able to adopt some of the vision that we're seeing that we believe is going to be the future of this industry. Things are changing. And I think that was very important because most of these CEOs or people running these companies are so stuck in their ways. They don't want to see the new way that things are coming out and doing it. So Vantage specifically, when I sat down with the founder and then some of the people that are around him and his ecosystem, I said, man, you have enough foresight to see into the future. You're allowing agents that are coming over to give you ideas on what we think things are going to be. And that's why I chose Vantage for that part of it. And then I'll get into what we built in Vantage is what I think is going to be very interesting for a lot of agents. But it's the you have to follow and have the right leadership that's willing to adapt to where we're going.
I agree. I'm one of them people that's big on leadership because leadership is everything.
Everything.
And leadership can make or break your company.
Make and break.
So here's my next question. What makes Vantage Financial Alliance different from any other company?
All right, I'm going to need you on this a little bit, but no, this is good. Hey, so here's the truth. And I need you guys I'm going to try to go as slow as possible so you guys can understand this. Now, I'm going to be very clear. I'm going to talk to some language that are in industry. So people that are in the industry are going to understand that. Some people out won't. And then I'm going to talk in generalizations of the industry itself. But Leroy, I know me and you, I probably wore your ear out on this one. You know, I keep saying, man, this industry has been the same for the last 40 years.
I agree.
The same exact model, you know, and we see all these companies popping up. And I'm like, man, everything seems to be the same. And you know, the one thing I always had a problem with, even when I was at WFG, was the MLM type model, right? The having to go out and, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not knocking the model, but I was always like, man, like not everybody wants to go out there and just recruit a bunch of people. And I remember having a conversation, and I won't say the gentleman's name. He's one of the biggest leaders that's in the industry, not just in that one company. And I said, hey man, like what would it be like if we just remove some of this stuff and allow people to come in and just be themselves? So number one, we kept it as an independent model. We love entrepreneurship. We love the building aspect of this industry, but we wanted to get away from the recruiting and get more into teaching people how to build an actual financial services company. So we removed recruiting at all out of the comp grid to where you do not have to go out and recruit a bunch of people to move up. So in a lot of these building models, it is 100% linked to you have to go out and recruit a certain amount of people, get a certain amount of licenses before you can move up. And we said, no, we're not doing that. So we removed out. That is one of the major things we did in the model, and saying, okay, if you want to build, we are totally fine with that. And we will help you do that. But also if you want to come in, we're not going to pressure you coming in the door to start doing all this stuff that you're not coming in to do. Hector Bones, I think he's out there watching. I think I saw him say something. He said something very important. And I love this guy. Super successful, 10 plus years in the industry as well. He wrote the Spanish version of How Money Works. He was one of the prominent agents in getting Puerto Rico on the map and helping all those families down there. And he said to me, Jason, here was always my issue with the massive recruiting thing. And he's like, let's say he's an accountant by trade. He said, okay, if I'm an accountant and I come and I get hired for my job to be an accountant and I start doing my job, and then 10 minutes later you come back to me and say, hey, the only way you're going to move up if you go find me 10 more accountants. He was like, he's on short wire and have to leave that job. And I was like, man, like we're telling people come into the financial service industry. Let me teach you how to learn how to do this. And then we're like, oh, by the way, you have to go do this. So every model has its own strengths and stuff that they have. I'm just telling you with Vantage, we just wanted to remove all that pressure. We wanted people to focus on the right kind of things. So that was number one. Number two, you must be licensed to go into the field. Now you'll understand this because this is for in industry, and this has never, ever sat well with me. Well, people come into the industry and then they go right into the field and start talking to families. And I remember calling you, I'm like, Leroy, why are they going into the field if they don't have a license? And you've been in the industry for how long? How long you been licensed, Leroy?
6 years.
Okay. Unless I'm mistaken here, can you get paid without a license?
No, you can't.
Okay, so why would we be taking people into the field? Now, maybe 30, 40 years ago, that worked, and that's fine. But in 2024, nobody wants to go out in the field and watch you make a bunch of money. Listen, that worked for a long time ago, but it is not the right thing. Morally and ethically, we should not be having people go out into the field to their license. So at Vantage, you are not going to go out into the field and start talking to people and start creating revenue without you having a license. That is non-negotiable. It's something that we're very proud of as an organization. We all adopted it, which is awesome. Then another thing, we want to make people a complete agent. I know this is something that's been very important to you. I know you always used to talk about, you don't want to send, you were third. What branch were you in, Leroy?
I was in the Navy and the Army.
Okay. How many years total?
30.
Could you ever imagine sending one of your soldiers out as a half agent or a half soldier?
Never. It would never happen.
No. So here, why are we I don't care if you hold all the licenses in our industry or you hold your insurance licenses only. You should be treated with the same level of respect as if you hold every license or which ones you decide to get in this industry. So something very important to us is making sure that our agents are complete agents, right? We made sure that we have multiple product lines. We made sure that we offer everything. But what I found out is a lot of these companies offer multiple product lines, but everybody only knows how to do one product, right? And they call it this thing called internal consumption. I have never liked this word. I think it's something that is getting a bad rap on our industry, right? And I think this is where MLM comes in certain things is they want everyone to buy the same exact thing. Well, Leroy, if me and you, if I sit with you and Tommy, and then I see Vahid's on here, I sit with Vahid, and I'm sitting with you, how do I know sitting with you right out the gate that you need the same product as Vahid? If I don't do a full financial needs analysis, maybe your family needs an index universal life and needs some final expense. Maybe his family where he's at needs a term policy. We got to start teaching our agents in the industry how to sit down, become a professional, which is not very hard in this industry, evaluate what somebody needs, then offer the solution for where they're at. So making complete agents. Professional training. Man, oh man, this part right here, I haven't had in a decade worth of experience. And here's what I mean by this. We have CPAs, we have estate planning attorneys, one in particular, Andre Pennington. He's a #1 estate planning attorney in Arizona. He's a super lawyer, so top 5% in the whole nation. And when we brought this to him, right, we brought this and me and my brother-in-law, Johnny, said, hey, dude, we've known you for a long time. You might want to look at this space. He was sending all of his clients over to Edward Jones. They come in, Edward Jones. Come in, Edward Jones. And we said, man, there's some other products in the insurance realm that you might want to be looking at because who's protecting the six on all these families? You're building the trust, but all their money's exposed. So he learned the field, and Andre has literally taken it as a war cry to change the way estate planning is being done because they're not protecting through the insurance portfolios, and to watch him revolutionize that industry, but to be able to have him not only as an agent in the field, an estate planning attorney, but the chief legal counsel for all of Vantage. It is very, very important that we make sure for the top down, we're doing this the right way. One mission culture. I watch a gentleman named Art Williams. You know, I love him. I studied him. You know this. And I watched him in the 70s and 80s. I watched him take, as a high school football coach, take 85 people and create the largest independent financial service company on the planet, right? And how did they do it? It was a one mission focus. Back then, because of the financial climate, it was buy term, invest the rest, right? It was a perfect time. The market was favorable. The permanent policies back then weren't really fitting, and he just got everyone behind it, and they did a lot of good. 2000s came, kind of disrupted just that one philosophy. But over here, the mission before commission, no family left behind. And over here, what we do is make sure we do full financial needs analysis. That is the key to helping a family. That is our mission. Everyone's on it, right? To make sure we're doing it the right way, right? This is another very, very important part. Not only having 38 years of founder experience, that's very important, right? From the field side of things, we partnered with an IMO, right? We partnered with an IMO named Quantum that is owned by a gentleman named Ron Schertz, who Ron Schertz owns a company called Nexus. And we purposely partnered with them because Nexus, the last 4 years in a row, have won Innovator of the Year for their index strategies that they're building for annuities. So why would I say annuities right now, Leroy? Well, let's talk about this. We have $84 trillion right now sitting with the baby boomers. There was an article that came out, quote, and maybe the percentage might be off a little bit. It's either 57 or 58%, close to 60% of all the baby boomers said, I've never sat down with a financial professional in my entire life. They were like my pops, who's now 65. They had group plans. They just go through, they retire, and they've never had anyone sit down with them. They're holding $84 trillion worth of wealth, and 60% of them are trying to figure it out by themselves, right? So if we can partner with and have our IMO be someone that's innovating fixed index annuities, which can give lifetime income to that generation that needs it. Then we educate the sandwich generation, the 50 to 65s, and then you got your millennials, and we educate them because we know money rolls down, right? So as people pass away, it's going to come down. We got to make sure we're educating all three of these. So when I talk about a complete agent, we need our agents to be able to have the professionalism and the knowledge to sit down with a 60-year-old plus and have that kind of conversation. But also, I call it the swag. They have to have enough, hey, I'm still kind of in this generation to be able to talk to the millennials because they want to do social media. They want to do texting. They want to do all this stuff. And honestly, I've been talking to a lot of these financial firms and they're like, we're not going to do that. We're going to call them. Bro, they ain't answering the phone no more. What are we talking about? Calling who, right? We have to use all our resources, right? We have a very competitive comp plan. Everyone goes around and totes their comp plans all over the place. I'm not even doing that today. We have one of the best comp plans in the market. I don't need to get into it. Once you see it and understand it, it's awesome. And then this is the key. Top technology. We are in an age, whether you like AI or not, whether you like the social media or not, this is where we're at. This is how all information's coming out there. And we are investing a ton of resources into the technology that we are doing here at Vantage. We want things to be seamless for the clients. We want things to get out there. We want to make sure that when they come through here with Vantage, that their experience is something like they've never seen before. They get treated with the respect they deserve, whether they got $10 or they got net worth 100 million. They get the same level of service. They get the same treatment that everyone should be getting to make sure they're good to go. But those are a few of the things over here that we have. Now, I wanted a couple for the industry. Okay, this is an industry conversation, especially in the building model. Okay, we removed this thing called an exchange leg. Now, if you're not in the industry, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're in the industry, trust me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's why we removed that. First of all, I think it was made up. I don't know when it was made up or how, because I can't get a real answer why we're even doing this. But there's this, they say this nobility exchange. And a lot of these companies have adopted this over the last 40 years. I'm gonna be honest with you. We really should look into this a little bit. So Leroy, in my experience, a nobility exchange means because I help you, you owe me something. Okay. So here's some forms of some of the nobility exchange that I saw. If you want my mentorship, you got to pay for my dinner. I'm like, that's weird. I never seen that before. Right. Okay. I thought I'm here to help you. I'm on your team. Right. Yeah. Pretty crazy. And these are my personal real life experiences. I'm not talking about nobody else. Okay. Then they have this thing called, once you get promoted, you got to exchange somebody out. To get your promotion, you have to exchange out. But Leroy, I remember calling you too, man. I used to ask Leroy a lot of questions, man. I said, Leroy, how are we supposed to stay united if I'm dividing up my squad? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You're telling me to go to battle. If anyone's in the military like me and Leroy, you don't go into battle and then separate each other without having a plan beforehand. So my point is, there's these ideas and these philosophies that were adopted 40 years ago that are still being used today. And I just kept questioning them all the time. And they'd say to me, oh, don't worry about that. Oh, that's just the system. That's just this. And I'm like, it's just not right. Right? It's not right. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You're trying to unite stuff together, but it's the most divisive thing I've ever seen. Right? So that's industry. Also, there are overrides in our industry and things like this. They have spreads, stuff like this. So we brought it down a few levels so people can start to actually build their business and do things the right way. But that exchange thing is a very big thing, especially if you're in these building models. It's an old philosophy that's been passed down, and I still can't get a straight answer on what it actually means. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, so that's some of the things that we have there.
That was great, because one of the things that I did not like was the fact that my team is excelling. And now that I've reached a certain plateau, I got to let go of one of my best people to go to another team and excel. And it hurts me.
You know, what's crazy too about it is it's hard enough in entrepreneurship to build something one time. Why do you think most businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years in a traditional space? If you guys are coming into the building models, which are awesome in the financial service industry, you're building a business. So you still have these same rules that apply. They go all the way across the board on how it works for business. And it's hard enough to build something once, let alone to build it and have to build it again. That's why their success rate is so low. The thing too about the removing the recruiting out of the requirement. So this is very important. I don't want to skim past this either. It's not that we don't want to build. We think it's very important. We think if we're going to become the largest independent fiber service company on the planet, we have to. But Leroy, how many people did we lose along the way that got stuck because they couldn't get one more license? They couldn't get one more thing. And instead of me sitting there teaching my agents how to go out and serve a family, I had to stop my trainings and be like, hey, by the way, I really shouldn't be teaching this anymore, because if you don't get one more licensed agent, you can't move up anyway. And this is kind of all for nothing. And I just feel like the industry has lost its way. How could I have been here for a decade and it was 70% of the population was financially illiterate, and I'm 10 years later and 70% of the population is still deemed financially illiterate? It's because we're focusing on the wrong stuff. We're focusing on the awards and the recognition and the hoopla and this and that you should have all that. You should get recognized. But we're missing the fact that families are struggling. Dude, have you went and bought some freaking food lately? I mean, dude, I went and took the kids. I ain't proud of this, but we got some McDonald's the other day. McDonald's used to be pretty damn cheap. McDonald's is expensive, right? We go get eggs. My wife's like, Jay, they're more expensive. Now, I've been blessed. I've worked hard. We've saved some money. I moved up in this industry. But I'm sitting back going, man, if I was at University of Phoenix right now, where I used to work, when I was making 80 grand a year, my wife was making a little bit there too. We were just barely getting by. There ain't no way I'd be able to afford this stuff. And then we're out here like bringing people into the best industry in the world. You know why I think this is the best industry? Because not only are you serving families and what you learn, you get to serve your own family. And we should all be getting fiscally responsible. Leroy, I was there 10 years. You were there, 5, 6 years?
Yeah.
No one's getting fiscally set up. Everyone's just running through like the industry, and I'll end on this. On this part, the industry cannot go 40 years the same way. No industry has ever just gone 40 years the same way. I'm going by a power plant that's getting built right now, or a big plant that's getting built. Bro, I'm looking at that building. Man, I'm 42 years old. I used to see those things get built before. It ain't getting built like this thing right now. This chip building is unreal. I've never seen nothing like it in my life. They've evolved into what it is. And I'm telling you right now, at Vantage, we are evolving, and we're evolving fast. And we got to take the pressure off the people. The new people are supposed to come in here and learn their craft. Come in and learn their craft. We got to take the pressure off. So what do you got for me? What's next?
That's awesome, because I always say you have to keep yourself in a state of learning.
Always.
And like you said, this industry is constantly evolving. And if your company ain't changing with it, you pretty much setting yourself up for failure.
Fact.
Pretty much. So here's my next question. And that ties in so nicely. Looking at Vantage Financial Alliance and looking at the future of this company, where do you see this company going in the next 12 months?
All right, so next 12 months, this is exactly what we see. So I'm going to go slow so we can write this down. We will have 25,000 licensed agents by the end of the year. And everyone says, man, that seems like a crazy number. Well, let's do some numbering right now. Let's do some numbering, right? First of all, we have 330 million people that are out there. I'm watching all the layoffs happen. I'm watching all the financial climate happen. So there's going to be a lot of people that are just looking to pick up extra income. And I'm telling you, this is a great place to plant your flag, because it's part-time, it's flexible. You pick your hours. We can do most of it virtual now. So you can be with your families. You can do all that stuff, which is great. So that's going to happen. But then, Leroy, there's 881,500 agents that are out there right now, licensed in the United States, 881,500. Okay. Inside of these building models, there's about 400,000 people that are out there. And I would just have to believe, right? And this is faith, baby, that there's a lot of people out there that were like me, that love this industry. They actually really enjoy the company that they're with. I really enjoyed my time. I got flown around to speak all over. I made so many relationships I'm going to have the rest of my life. I'm so thankful for everything that happened there. But I would believe that there's about 25,000 people out there that are in these models that are like, man, if I get told one more time, I got to go recruit my grandma. If I get told one more time, I got to run down and get a 1-1 or a 3-3 or whatever these numbers are now. It's so insane. There's enough people like us, Leroy, they're like, you know what? Why can't I just come here, learn what I got to do, be efficient at my job. And then from there, let's figure out where it goes. If I decide I want to build a monster organization, I'll do it. If I just want to be a family business, you know what made me the most mad? I had family businesses where they're like me and my mom, a husband and wife, 2 kids. Well, Leroy, if you do the math, it's only 4 people, right? They were good and they were successful, but I couldn't promote them because I need to find one more license because of the rules and regulations. We want people to come here, and I believe, so 25,000 licensed agents. We want to protect $1.5 billion of money that's out in the marketplace, right? This year, $1.5 billion, they call it a rollover. We want to reposition and start using some of these index strategies, make sure that the baby boomers, and everyone's like, how are you going to get 1.5? I don't know, it's $84 trillion sitting there. And if you do the math, we just got to get a handful to 60% that need lifetime income to help that out, right? There's a niche there for it. But we want $1.5 billion protect this year, getting money from the market and move it over to safety. Now, here's what it is. LIMRA just reported that $300 billion is going to move the next 4 years, no matter what, because people need protection on their money to make sure they got safety and guarantees, right?
Right.
And then we want to do a $1.5 billion placed in life coverage. And here's what's awesome. When we say life insurance, we're talking about the full package of life insurance. It's not called death insurance, right? Everyone's getting it if they die. It's called life insurance. If you understand how to use this insurance portfolio and add it into your investment portfolio, your fixed portfolio, I am telling you, the insurance portfolio right now, and you learn how to use life insurance as an asset to add into what you already currently have, your whole life will change. You can do so many things with this insurance portfolio. And then we want to pay $330 million out to the field this year. $330 million out to the agents, right? You break the math down on all different stuff that we're doing. That's what we want to accomplish this year. Someone actually told me the other day, man, you're nuts. You're nuts. And I was like, beautiful. You know why? The climate is set for it. The person that called said, man, you're nuts. Those goals are pretty lofty for your first year. No one's ever done it before. I'm going to tell you right now, there's never been the financial climate that we have right now with the resources we have now, with all these people that are out there that are working hard, that have these licenses, that want these licenses. It's the perfect time to do it. And we're going to make a big, big move this year, which is going to be super awesome.
Man, so here's my last question to you. I'm a person that's big on team. I love my team because I treat my team like they're my family.
I know that.
Deborah Green, Tara Bowie, they have been with me from the beginning and are still with me today. How is the culture at Vantage?
That's a great question. So let me start by saying this real quick, because I know we're going to wrap on this. You know, I have a great mentor. You know the gentleman as well. His name is Greg Kapp. I've known him for a long time. Greg has been someone that's been very big in our life, you know, to the point where my mom and them have a relationship. So you meet certain people, right? But 4 decades of experience. And Greg taught me something very early on when I met him, right? I was 3 years in the industry. Then I met Greg and Jeff, and they've been 2 great mentors for me, right? And mentors is the key right word. But here's something that they said. He said, Jason, if you can do this in life, you'll go so far. You've probably heard this because I know he talks a lot about this. He said, if you can take the best and leave the rest and only move away with what good you learned, your whole life will change. And I adopted that. In 2018, after 3 years of being in the industry and not being very successful. So here's what I'm going to tell you. The culture that we built at Vantage has all the best of where I came from, because I think there was some good stuff. I left the rest, right? And then it was a pedigree of what we feel from our military experience, from our playing sports experience, and we blend this together. But we're a family, man. When we talk about this is why I got rid of the exchange leg. If you've been in the industry, you can't create a family if everyone's looking over their shoulder to see what's going to happen next. We want to create an environment where everybody works together. And I am telling you right now, you know, when you leave a company, legally, you're not allowed to go call all your friends. Like, hey, I just left. You want to come with me? You're not allowed to do that, right? So we had to step out on faith, knowing that we're not allowed to do that. And we've abided by every single rule that's out there to make sure that we're doing the right thing. Do I agree with it? that's another thing. I feel like we were independent, but whatever. But that's the rule. But by doing it the right way, in less than 65 days, we have 500 licensed agents already over here, and this thing is just exploding. And I sit back and I'm like, man, there's people coming from PHP, FFL, all these insurance companies are coming together. And to see the synergy of them all working together. And Leroy, the number one thing I keep hearing is, man, where I was at, we weren't allowed to do that. I'm like, well, how are you going to become the most dominant financial services company on the planet if you can't talk to thy neighbor? That don't make no sense. That has never made sense. You know, when I was in the other company, I created Cross Country Crusaders, and we're finally at a place where for the first time in my 10-year career, it's actually about families first, everything else second. And I got a unique question asked to me. Someone asked me, a young man just came on board. He said, Jason, how can you guarantee that it's going to stay this way when you get bigger? It's a good question, right? This young man.
That's an awesome question.
And I said, first of all, how old are you? And please stay with us because you're very smart. And but I said to him, I said, hey, I can't guarantee anything. No one can guarantee. If anyone guarantees you anything, run away from it. I said, but here's what I can tell you. The core that we're building this on is a solid foundation. We're building it on unity. We're building it on staying together. We built our comp plan around keeping it together. And I said, the only way that we could have this thing crack at the seams is if we allow egos, if we allow something bigger than what the mission is to take control. But I said, here's what's crazy. If there's only 500 of us here right now, we would be the ones that destroy the company. And I said, on my watch, we're not going to allow that to happen. I said, but it's going to take each and every single one of us to stay together, to stay locked in. We're not always going to agree on everything. We're a big company scaling fast. But if we keep the core mission, and the leaders that are here, man, Leroy, you know the leaders that are here, the leadership that we have. And I want to be very clear. It don't matter how much money someone was making somewhere else. Maybe their environment wasn't very good. Maybe their leadership wasn't very good. Maybe the system didn't fit for them. So when I say leaders, I'm not talking about, how much money were they making? That's the worst indication of describing a leader you could ever do. I found some that make the most amount that are terrible, some the least that are terrible. But the core foundation of the leadership of this group, man, it would take an act of something to be able to fracture that foundation, baby, because we're building it right. We're building on the right foundation, the right pillars, but we control that. So that was a great question from him, Leroy. It's one team, one mission, one culture. We all fly the flying V. You guys ever seen Mighty Ducks? No big deal. But that's my little plug. But it's just all of us working together and doing the right thing. So, and I want to tell you as we get off here, dude, I appreciate your friendship. There's been we come from an arena where they try to divide us.
Yeah.
Me and you specifically. And for a slight moment, you think you're doing the right thing, you allow it to happen. But when there's bigger powers at play, they bring us back together, man. So I'm just very thankful that we met and that we stayed together. And dude, what's being built here with the leadership, the focus of the founder of the company, it's pretty amazing. So I'm excited about it, man. What's happened these first 65 days is unreal, and we know where it's going. So I appreciate you, man. I thank you so much for having me on today. And let's revolutionize this industry because it needs it, man. 40 years of the same thinking. What got you here will not get you there. We hear it in every leadership book. Yep. So why are we all trying to do the same thing? Everyone keeps spinning off and doing the same exact thing. I'm going to do it better than the last one, but the same exact layout. And listen, I pray every day that they all do well. It's fine. As long as they're doing it the right way, I don't care. There's 330 million people. There could be a gazillion companies out there. Right? We just want the people that want to come in, they want to learn their craft, they want the pressure off of this hardcore recruiting game that's going on. Let's make you a solid agent. Let's go help these families. Let's go help you become good at what you do. And let's go serve the mission and serve the communities, man. That's what we gotta do. So
it's funny you bring that up because Hector said something, and I'll never forget this when he said it because he was on the show as well. And he said, at the end of the day, being in the military, I'm right next to a guy that I can't stand. I want to punch him in his mouth, whatever the case may be. But we both know mission essential, mission first. We need to handle what we need to handle. I got your back, you got my back. And once the mission is done, then we can go back to punching each other in the face. But that's the culture that you need. Not that we hate each other, because it's not like that here.
No.
But I know you got my back if need be, and I got yours.
Dude, it's so important. It's so important too, because just think about that. If you have a mission-focused company and the mission's actually serving other people, which is what we're supposed to be doing here, everyone got a license. I mean, I don't know. I've been here 10 years. If I asked 100 people, if I did a poll and said, why did you join? The number one answer usually, I want to help somebody. I want to help out. I want to help somebody be better, right? Then it's my income, my car, my whatever it is, right? It's always that first, but that got put in the back burner and everything else went first. But if you have a common goal and common mission, and you know this, that's why in the military, or if people were in that branch, we always come together, because there was always for a bigger cause. When you don't have a bigger cause, that's when everything falls apart. When you have your own agenda, everything falls apart. And I do want to end on this real quick, because I think this is important, especially for in industry. This is important. When I made that phone call to my mentor, Jeff Levitan, and I made that call to say, hey, dude, can I get some guidance? Knowing that this is the farthest thing from his life he ever wants to do again. He did it for so damn long. His wife's very successful. You make those calls because you like, man, let me just get a lens of someone with a lot of experience. But then the call wasn't to get permission. The call wasn't to say, come with me. The call was saying, dude, I respect you for as long as you've mentored me. You've taken me from 60 grand to almost 600,000. You built me from a not entrepreneur to an entrepreneur. And then I was like, man, you know how good it feels to know that you have mentors in your life that'll be there forever, but they're giving you the keys to the shop.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to keep driving someone else's car. You don't want to keep driving someone else's thing. You want to say, hey, I appreciate, I'll pay homage to what you did, but there's a new era coming in town. There's a new era coming in town, and it's time for you guys to let us do it. So I respect that man a lot. I appreciate everything he's done for me. I like the fact that, that there's guidance there, but at the end of the day, all it is guidance, baby. You're staring down the barrel of who decided to become a co-founder of the company to take it where it's going, right? So I just want to make that very clear out there for some in-industry stuff. That's just for that. I appreciate you though, bro. I thank you very much. Thanks for having me on today. I know we're going to do a couple series off this. We can dive more in. We can do stuff breaking down each one of those bullet points we have. We have all the stuff. So it'll be a fun next couple weeks breaking all this down about the company itself. But you guys, this industry is awesome. It's one of the best places you could ever do. You could serve others and make a phenomenal living for you and your family. And we built the comp grid for that. So when we do the comp grid breakdown, I'll explain that to you, because most agents in this industry stay between when they first start and about 5 or 6 promotions. They usually stay in there. That's the majority of it, because people have other stuff they want to do. They want to run other businesses. They want to be with their family. So they kind of, that's where they stay for most of their career, 80% of the people. And then you got 20%, they want this for the rest of their life. So we built the comp grid so that if you stay in the 80% and that's what you want to do, and we're fine with that, let's make sure there's enough revenue in there so you can make 100 grand, make 150 grand, make 200 grand, and then be in there, but still go coach your kids, still go do everything else you want to go do or run other businesses. But we built the grid to protect the 80. And then of course, anything at top 20% is going to be off the chain, right? But you got to protect the 80. That's your business. Protect the 80. Accolades are at the top. I appreciate you, bro. I love you so much. Well,
all right. I'm going to get with you in a second after this.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. There you have it, team. Financial, information and guidance from Jason Beauvais. As always, I love that brother. He's family, and we've been through a lot together. So for the agents out there that's watching this, or people out there that's watching this that wants to be agents, and you just want somewhere where you can plant your flag, this is the place for you. I mean, the culture is awesome. The positivity is always there. And you can come here, plant a flag, you can grow, whatever you choose, but you can make an impact, and that's the whole key of why we do this. There's so many families out there that need help. There's so many people that have no idea about financial concepts, just no idea. And they have nowhere that they can go and learn this information. They have no one they can talk to get this information. And we are the key people to get this information to them, and people that wants to do this. Because think about it, the financial industry is one of the biggest in the world, bigger than retail, bigger than real estate. It's the biggest. And if you want to come here, if not just to make an impact for your family, this is the place that you want to plant your flag. Just point blank and simple. So for all of you that watch this, first of all, I want to thank God for you for even watching the show. And just know that we got other shows coming. We're doing a show called The Panel, and then we're going to do a show called The Panel for Women. This show is going to be just for women that's in the financial realm. And I would definitely get with some of the women that are on my team and some of my great women business partners, and we're going to sit down and talk about this and make this happen. Because we're changing the industry, whether you know it or not. Just know that this is something you want to be a part of, because we're evolving and we are ruffling feathers. As Vanita would say, we're ruffling feathers. And people don't like when feathers are ruffled, but it has to happen. And see, the great thing about all of this is that we're God led. Regardless what anybody tell you, God is in the forefront of everything that we do. And if you don't believe that, just ask one of my business partners. They'll tell you. So with that being said, I thank you all for coming to the show. I appreciate it. This was a special edition, strictly based on Vantage. And I will definitely see you guys on the next show, and women, because here on out, we're going to do some big things in 24. So, hey, get ready for the ride. Take care, and God bless.